When I was diagnosed with chronic lymphocytic leukemia, CLL, in 1996 after a routine blood test, I was terrified. I'd never heard of it. I had no idea what it was. And because I understood it was a leukemia, I thought I'd soon be dead. And I felt very alone. Fortunately, I connected with other patients on a listserv, kind of primitive technology now online, and that helped me know I wasn't alone and connected me with expert care, not even in my home city, but far away. And that led to me being in a clinical trial and living, even today now, 14 years after treatment, still in remission. Well, early on, I realized that was my mission as a journalist, to use my skill to help connect other patients with the latest information and let them know they weren't alone so they could have the best possible care. And that's really what led to the founding of Patient Power. Using the latest technology, sometimes in-person meetings, but often digital communication, videos, audio programs, and now worldwide, so that patients know they're not alone, they can be empowered and get access to the latest care, clinical trials, so they can live longer and live better. When someone's diagnosed with cancer, it is an earth-shaking event for themselves and their family. But now we're in an internet age where it's very natural for the patient or someone in that family to go looking for information. What are they finding out? They're finding out that there are subtypes of cancer. They're finding out that there are some cancers that can be treated even as a chronic long-term condition. They want to get that expert information. They want to find out what's in research. They want hope. And so now we are at a tipping point where patients want to be empowered, they want to be educated, and they want to connect with others, not just one time, but long term. It's part of their life that they want to manage better than ever before. Traditionally, when you think you want to speak to patients or support communication that patients have, you go to the traditional advocacy groups. Many of them have been around a long time, and they have their very valuable activities that they conduct. But layer on top of that a digital age, Facebook, Twitter. In the UK, there's a group called Health Unlocked, patients talking to patients. And some patients have taken upon themselves to become very knowledgeable and to help others. These folks, patient opinion leaders, come out of nowhere. They're not associated with any advocacy group. You've never heard of them before, but they establish huge followings. And so if you want to support today communication to support patients knowing, understanding their illness, participating in clinical trials, connecting with the right care, patient opinion leaders, not necessarily associated with any advocacy group, are increasingly very important. Every patient has a doctor. And now more and more in an internet age, some family member is also going beyond that and seeking information to go beyond what the doctor said or to verify what the doctor said, seek second opinions, or simply to connect their family with others. So you have to be very active online, and at the same time you have to be supportive of the clinics so that there can be resources that the clinics are available to make available for patients. So it's kind of a two-pronged approach. And of course, you still communicate with advocacy groups, and you're always seeking patient opinion leaders who need to be more knowledgeable in issues that you know are important related to the disease. So it's an ongoing process along a landscape of communication techniques and partners. So I'm an American, of course, you can tell by my accent. And in the US, we have mostly a private insurance system. And so I think people have been learning in the last few years, and I've been part of it, that they need to be savvy consumers. And when it comes to a cancer diagnosis or another serious chronic condition, you really need to be savvy because fortunately now there are more choices, and the neighborhood doctor may not know about all those choices or tell you about all of them. Well, you know, it's no different in Europe. It's just happening a little bit later. People are typically treated in a government health system, and if their health has been generally good, that consultant, that doctor they saw, said, take this pill, have this treatment, and things have worked out. When they're faced with a serious chronic condition or a cancer, many are now chronic cancers, it's much more complicated. And I think that the typical patient and family now is understanding they need to get smart. They need to play an active role in their care. They need to ask questions. Maybe, if they can, have access to a subspecialist in their illness to make sure that the treatment is right for them, that they've been diagnosed correctly, if there are clinical trials, that they have access to them. So I think that sort of consumerism is about to happen in Europe, and people are very receptive. And I find that the leading researchers, the KOLs, if you will, they're very receptive to it too. So it's up to industry, I believe, to help support that. And that climate will change, and I think in an internet age, it'll change rapidly. Let's face it, outside of the US, maybe a handful of other countries, it is a very conservative environment when you talk about supporting communication to patients. But it's something I think that industry must do. Government doesn't seem to do it at all or very well, very regularly. And now, as we have chronic conditions and many chronic cancers, people on long-term therapies that are changing, evolving, I think it's really important for industry to step up to the plate and to really, in a digital age, look at who are all the players that you need to support. Not just the traditional advocacy groups, but patient opinion leaders, leading physicians who are communicating on Twitter and Facebook with patients, all changing rapidly. And you need to say, how can I be a strong community member? Because I'm a stakeholder. How can I do that in the appropriate way? And I will mention one thing. Typically, you put money, as you do patient communication, into some websites and other offerings under your control. But that is not typically what patients are looking for. They're looking for frequency of content that's changing rapidly, and it's not what you can do under your own control in your regulated environment. So my advice is to look for third parties that you can support that are having an active dialogue with a growing number of patients who are seeking information so they can take more responsibility for their care. If you do that, everybody wins.